Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at 9 games on a Wednesday night here, Nate, in the NBA. In this one, we're taking a look at the Grizz and the Cavs. Last night was really looking forward to hitting over 222.5 on this one. That has been raised up a bunch, so we'll take a look at what we are thinking in this one. Also, I want you to like and subscribe to that page so you can check out the other game video and our player props that we're bringing you each and every weekday this season. I also want to let you know we do have a special episode coming up with Mark Medina from NBA.com. He wrote a survey where he surveyed 30 different media members and wrote an article on the results of what they think is going to happen the rest of the season. We're going to compare that to the betting odds markets that you have available for these futures, sort of a special mid-season futures award episode involving Mark Medina, so make sure you check that out. Also, head to thelines.com. Everything we talk about there is going to be up on thelines.com, and you can use that odds finder tool to make sure you're getting the best juice back from these U.S. sportsbooks who are offering you guys bets on the NBA this season. Nate, let's get into this 9-game slate and then talk Grizz and Cavs.
Yeah, we start with the Knicks looking to stay hot, -6.5 at home against the Wizards, who might get Bradley Beal back. The other game we break down, the Hawks are +2.5 at Dallas. Luka is expected to return after a 1-game absence. Hornets -2.5 at the Rockets. The Pacers are +4 at the Thunder. This game, yeah, you mentioned it's seen some movement for sure. Up to 228.5 in Memphis. The Grizz are up to -7.5. It was 6.5 or so when it opened. Miami's -3 at the Pelicans, who are still without Zion and Ingram, of course. And Clippers on a back-to-back here, +5.5 in Utah. The Wolves +8 at Denver, which won a 14th straight at home and is on a back-to-back here. And then the Kings are -4 at the Lakers. LeBron is listed as questionable, but his props are up, so he seems to be good to go. 222.5 is where this total opened in Memphis, and the way the Grizzlies have been scoring lately, you're all over that because it really doesn't matter who they're playing. If it's going to be that low, you expect Memphis to get about 120. At home, they're averaging 125 in this 10-game heater. They went under in the first 3 of those games, and then they've gone over in 7 straight since getting the free throw line at a high clip. Defensive rating is good, but actually slightly higher at home. And the thing, really is the pace, which is nearly 104 possessions per game, which has helped them go over, even though they're still playing elite defense. Jaren Jackson Jr. is the defensive player of the year as we stand today. He is helping them deny, number 1 2-point defense at home, 4th in paint points, and they're also been limiting 3-pointers at home. And Cleveland's coming into this one without Donovan Mitchell, which is, of course, scary when you think about their offensive potential. But I think in this matchup, it's actually not as big a deal because the one thing Memphis is vulnerable to, and that other teams are able to tag them a little bit, is they have the highest assist-to-field goal ratio in the league. So you can't really go one-on-one. You can't give Triple J time to tee up your shot if you're going to play out of the post or something. And without Donnie, Cleveland has posted a very high assist-to-turnover ratio, very high assist-to-field goal ratio. And actually, you also want to look at the location for this, of course, because at home, Cleveland went under at a way higher clip last year. Games were way more low-scoring. But in their opener last year, actually, in Memphis, 101 pace, 243 was the combined total. They had 38 assists on 47 field goals and hung in the game despite getting crushed on the boards. Also, on the other end, both these teams limit paint points, but Ja had 37 on 16 for 25 inside the arc. So Ja's able to get his. Cleveland was able to get points even without Donovan Mitchell because, of course, they didn't have him last year, by just sharing the ball and spreading it around. And that's kind of the trend we saw. They're 2-3 without Donnie, but they have shown some potential, including against Denver in a very similar spot here a week ago or so, posting a 30-6 assist-to-turnover ratio. That game went to 229 because Denver, of course, is going to score 120 at home. We feel like Memphis, of course, is going to score 120. But it was only played at an 88 pace, which, Denver's happy to slow it down and play half-court ball with you. Memphis is going to push that issue, and they've been able to at home, like I said, with a 103.8 pace in their last 6 home games. Cleveland's defense is worse on the road, of course. So I think at 228, it's right on the line of what you feel comfortable betting an over. I definitely wouldn't feel comfortable taking an under the way Memphis is playing right now. They could totally accelerate and get out of here with a big win. But I like Memphis to win regardless. And I think if you want to tease it back to where it was closer to the opener, 224 is the over along with Memphis -3. That's great. Or just taking Memphis on the spread, because I think it's similar to Denver in terms of just like bank on them at home, bank on them to score 120, which is exactly what you were saying yesterday against Portland. And sure enough, another double-digit win. And I think Cleveland's kind of punting this game. They've alternated between wins and losses. 6 of their last 7 have been on the road, resting Donnie before they go home against the Warriors-Bucks later this week. I don't think that we see an outstanding effort from Cleveland, but I think we'll see enough offense to hopefully keep this one close.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Memphis, they're showing out to be, hang in there with Denver, and it's not just being atop the West. I also just mean in the variety of ways that they can score. Obviously, everything's led by Ja, but when Desmond Bane was out, and they were missing a few guys here and there throughout the course of like the last month and a half, they were really just a one-dimensional team. It was Ja get in the lane and either go up or kick it back out for 3. And as a result, their 3-point percentage really suffered. Their ability to crash the offensive boards suffered because it's just 4 dudes standing outside the paint while Ja does his thing. Steven Adams wasn't really even able to do much. He was either picking from the top, right, screening for Ja, and then not able to get back down and get rebounds. And the reason I bring that up is just because with the dynamicism that you add when you have, Desmond Bane in there, someone who can also play make, but obviously a lethal 3-point shooter. But like I said, someone you are actually worried about to step inside the paint as well. You also allow guys to crash the boards, and boards are so important. Cleveland dominates them, but Memphis does as well. And I think you'll see a lot of Steven Adams in this game when you look at the way that they're scoring at home, percentage points, from fast break. I was kind of hoping maybe Cleveland didn't get back on defense as well to help our over. That's not true. They get back to the tune of limiting the 7th least, fast break points for their opponent. And then same thing for points in the paint. We know how much they both sort of, enjoy feasting and dominating down there. But I think what you said also really makes a lot of sense of why you can expect points in this one. Once again, adding Desmond Bane in there. When he is in there, they actually do add up a few more assists per game this season as opposed to when he's out. And there's a pretty good sample size of him being out this season, missing roughly 16 games. But the percentage of their field goals that are assisted, that's the dynamicism I'm talking about as well. Like, you have the ability to move the ball around. It's not just Ja drive and kick and hope there's a wide open 3 after 1 or 2 passes, and that's your ball movement. Now you have a lot more guys cutting and getting into the paint and moving out of the paint, etc. And that's why they've got one of the higher percentages of their field goals being made after getting an assist, and that's like what you said exactly in terms of keeping this Cleveland team on its toes. If Donnie was in this game, like, I would just lock it up. It would just be like, cool, Donnie versus Ja, go, and Darius Garland and Desmond Bane each add 20 to 25. And we're easily over 228 in whatever you really even want to talk about. Donnie being out is obviously hurts their offense a bit, but obviously Darius Garland also steps up, scores 6 more points a game, doesn't really hurt his percentages, keeps a really efficient pace there, and then continues to get 10 plus assists a game as well in those situations. So he still keeps the offense moving, and there are 2 big guys that can match up maybe pretty well with Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson Jr., but right now that is the best defensive duo down low that we can find, as you said, with the way Triple J is playing. So some of the things scare me about the over here because of the fact that, these teams limit what the other one does so well on offense, and really for most importantly, what Memphis does on offense, even though they're going absolutely bananas right now. So I think what I'm getting myself to is, I'd really like I'd like Memphis to win this game. I do like them to kind of at least, pull away a bit in the fourth quarter. And I would be looking to probably parlay this with one of the other 9 games and just take a money line in this one. I know it feels a little bit fishy, but I think with 9 9 games tonight. There's a couple other games I feel really, really comfortable about each team at least pulling out a W without needing to necessarily cover, and including the Pacers and Thunder game that I'm just loving this Thunder team. I hope everyone is watching what they're doing. They're at home against the Halababy-less Indiana Pacers team, so that right there is already a nice little parlay that gets you above even money if you like adding the Thunder. But Memphis to win for sure. Just 8 is starting to get a little bit high for me against a Cleveland team that plays such good defense.
Yeah, but I am most worried about the Cleveland offense without Donnie, with their 30% 3-point shooting in their last 3 games here. They're struggling defensively in the third quarter, which I think is another angle you can look at here in terms of live betting Memphis. If they don't get off to a hot start, they're leading the league in third quarter points, and they're totally just hitting the gas and pulling away from teams, sometimes literally, in terms of actually getting out to the open floor and scoring in transition. So I think Memphis should pull away. I do look at the schedule and think Cleveland might be punting this game to a degree. Yeah. I mean, certainly if it gets out of hand. So, yeah, 8 points is generally not my cup of tea in terms of taking a favorite, but Memphis is winning at home by an average of 12 points per game now on the season, 14-7 against the spread, covering by 6 points per game. They've also dominated the East Conference going back to last season, and they're 13-4 against the East this year. So I think I'm a little concerned about Cleveland coming along to get us over, but I agree with you that Memphis is absolutely going to win. So that's why there's different options to just get some juice on that. And if you're going to parlay with another game, why not the other game we talk about and see why we like Dallas at home?
Yeah, that would get you even better money there for sure. But as I'm also just looking at what the Cavs are, the Grizz are doing at home, I think some of the games that they failed to cover, at home as of late, where they're beating, a team like the Spurs by 8, a team by like the Jazz by 5, the Kings by 10 at home. Like when they're playing the Pellies and the Kings and the Suns, a team I think they really enjoy crushing all 3 of those, especially the Pellies and the Suns. I think you can expect that same level of effort from them against the Cavs. They've got 2 days off until they play at the Lakers that I'm sure they're not worried about, but mostly excited about. Obviously, there's a big road trip for them coming up: Suns, Kings, Warriors, Timberwolves after the Lake Show. But they have got a decent enough amount of rest that I think they're happy to, like you said, pull away in the third quarter the way they did against the Suns last game. And potentially, I'm starting to feel a little bit better about 8 points as I'm looking at this as well, because like you said, I could see the Cavs folding pretty early and making sure that they're ready to take on the Bucks and the Warriors at home and win both those games. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. We are bringing you videos each and every weekday this season, including that bonus Mark Medina guest video where we'll be talking about our Futures Awards. So stay tuned for that as well. Until we see you next, happy betting.